Hi, welcome to Fabric Bias. It is Friday, July 26th in the evening, and I'm just getting started on my basket liner project for this basket here. And I haven't actually gotten very far. I mean, a little while ago I made notes, and that's it. That's as far as I got. Because I've done some other projects. So what I'm thinking about doing now is, it looks like the final height I want for the inside, the bottom portion, which will go up to here, is about 4.5, let's see, 5 inches. And that is including the part that needs to fold in for the hem on that. So I'm going to cut a piece that is 5 inches. I've marked it 5 inches high. And then I've kind of designed these angles because the base of the basket is actually, doesn't look it very much, but the base is actually narrower than the top. Maybe it looks better on the inside. And so I need to go at an angle to make this work. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm getting started on getting it cut for the side pieces, and then the bottom piece will be just a rectangle. So I'm going to get moving on that, see how it works. Okay, so this is my 5-inch cut with the fabric right now of my exterior fabric that I'm going to practice with here, and maybe the fabric I end up using if I don't have time to do another one. So I know that my measurements, my basket is going to be 4.5 inches high, plus I want a 1/2 inch here, and I've already added it also for the inseams. I want it to go a little bit higher because I want to fold it under to fit. And I give a little cushion to my measurements because it's easier to cut off than it is to add to on that. And so just a little bit to make sure it fits. And I do already know this fits because I've already done the interior piece right there. What I'm doing is, I know because I'm cutting it at an angle, I know I want the top to be 9.25 inches. So I'm going to go 9.25, and I'm going to mark up here for the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.25 on my mat. There. And then my base, I want to be 8.5. So to get that, what I'm going to do is fold my fabric in half. And I'm working on a double layered here. But I'm going to carefully fold my fabric in half so everything is lined up. And then I'm going to come over here because that's easier for me to put it on a line. I'm going to measure in, because I want 8.5, I'm going to measure 4.25 because I folded in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/4 here. So you can see it's very, very slightly different on that. Oop, I'm a little bit off. But I can be a little bit off, it'll be okay. There we go. So this is all the way across. If I unfold it, 9.25, and when I unfold this, 1, 2, 3, 4.25, it's going to be 8.5. So when I go to cut this, I'm going to cut right here, cut this piece off at 9.25 here, and then when I go to cut the base, let me just show you that. And then when I go to cut the base, I'm going to trim, and I've got it folded in half again, and I'm being really careful to match all my edges up, but I'm just going to trim it from this corner to this line. I don't think I can do that with my camera in the way. Let's see. Okay, get my ruler in there. I'm going to do it at an angle so that my base is not in the way. So there's my line. It's that outer one right there. And I'm going to go corner here. Move that over. It's so small an angle. There, right there, lined up here. And I'm just going to cut it like that. Oh, I shifted. But that's okay. There you go. And hold it up to there. There's a very slight angle on that. There. And this should be 8.5. And a half. There we go. And so I'll do the same thing for the side, only I'm going to do my measurements are 7.25 across and 6 inches at the bottom. So I take the same piece and I measure and mark at 7 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1/4 there. And then I'm going to go fold in half and match it up. Really careful. And slide it back to the line because that's easier for me. And half of 6 is 3, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to mark it there. Okay. Now I'm going to cut it at the 7 1/4. Sorry, my camera stand gets in the way of my cutting ruler. I don't have the short one over here. So that's 7 1/4. Check it over here and make sure I'm right. 1/4, 1/4, 7. Measure twice, cut once. Straight. This is going to end up being a scrap piece, which I may use later. And then I'm going to line this up, turn it so I can get to my ruler. Oh. Ta-da, and there it is. And now I need a base piece, which is going to be, I'm going to have to cut from another piece because this is 5 inches high and my base is actually 6. My actual base is 8.5 by 6 inches. And so I need to cut off another piece and cut that 6-inch base, 8.5 by 6. And that's just a rectangle, so I'm not going to show you here on that. And then I'll put it together just like I put together a fabric box. So, okay, on to the next steps. And here we go. So I have this massive scraps of the fusible fleece here, and I was thinking, I'm just going to cut myself a piece. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to see if I can use up all these scraps because, I mean, this can get to be an expensive habit, right? And we don't sew to sell. So just trying to be economical is a good idea. So what I've done is I've laid out all those thin strips on here. It's just the base of the basket that I'm making for fun, right? So laid them out across. I've pressed the center here. Now I'm going to lift up these ends and cut them even on both sides. And then I should have a nice constructed piece that is not going in the trash and saving me some money. Just a little bit. Okay, so I did the base and now I've decided I'm going to go ahead and do one of the sides, and maybe another one because I still have a ton left. And I've got some time right now. But two things I want to mention is make sure you put them all the right way down so it doesn't stick to your pressing cloth. Even though you're using a pressing cloth, you don't want it to stick to that. And I found after I cut the first one, it's really hard to tell where to cut. So on this one, I've drawn a line at where I want to cut off, or 2 lines, I guess, where I want to cut off the fusible fleece. So I will have an easier time getting it cut. So I'm going to go cut that, and I think I'm going to go work on that little pile there. So see you back in a bit. Okay, I'm nearly halfway done. This is my second larger of the body pieces, and one of the things I do want to tell you is make sure you don't press really close to the ends when you press these pieces to hold them in place, because you don't want to end up accidentally cutting your fabric. So if you give yourself more room here, you'll be able to lift it further away from your fabric and cut it off without getting too close. Now you can still peel it up a little bit. I think I've come a little close at the bottom here. Let me see. Nope, pretty good on that. So, but you can probably still pull it up a little bit. If you need to loosen up that glue, just put your pressing cloth back on, hit it real quick with the iron and carefully so you don't burn yourself. Lift it and peel it off because the glue will unstick once it's heated on that. So there it is. I will tell you, if you like puzzles, you probably will enjoy doing this. I'm getting a little tired of it, but I'm happy to be getting that pile down. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So there it is. I got that pile down. I started from just doing the bottom. I decided to go ahead and do the sides just because I like the challenge of, making this smaller on that. And as I'm doing it, I realized I really need to change out my ironing board cover. I already bought it. I just haven't done it on it. So there they are. I'm on to the next step. All pressed on and ready to go. Okay, now the interfacing is on and you stitch it together just like a box. So what I did was I took one front piece or the front piece, and I stitched the two side pieces onto that, and then I took the opposite piece, the back piece, and stitched it to the base. And once I had those stitched together and these stitched together, I stitched these together right here. And of course you're going from seam to seam and not edge to edge, so you get nice neat corners out of it. Now on to the next step. So for my next step, I'm going to take the side here and the side here, and I'm going to bring it up and match it to these sides, or the back piece sides here. So this will match to this, like this. And I'll stitch that, and then I'll bring this over here and stitch it there, and I will end up with my box. However, these seams will still be open right here and right here. So then that'll be the last thing to do, would be stitch those closed. And then I will have my box. Before I start this process though, what I want to do is press down my upper hem right here on that, because it's way easier to press it this way than when it's shaped as a box. So I need to press this down and press this down here, and the measurement I have for that is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go press all of that 1/2 inch and then stitch all that together, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have the base of the lining done here, and it's looking a little bit big, but I'm going to leave it and see how it goes once it's finished, because it's hard to tell with these clips, and I don't want to get out the two-sided tape because I'm actually going to be sticking the flaps right in there, so I don't want it stuck together just yet on that. So I've decided I'm going to do it with a flap that starts, I've got my handle that goes back and forth, and it gaps a little bit as it moves. So I measured from right here on the handle to the other side to right here, and that's 15 inches. Now I'm going to fold the ends in so the raw edges aren't exposed, so that'll take a 1/4 inch plus a 1/4 inch, so 1/2 inch away from this distance, and it'll be a 1/4 inch away from here, and I'm hoping that's enough for this to clear and still be able to swing, because there's some room. It gaps out as it moves, so we'll see. But that's going to make this final length around here about 14.5 inches. So what I want to do is I want the flap to be two-sided, so that there's an interior fabric and the exterior fabric, and then it's reversible. To determine the actual length or height, up, here, down, and under, I've calculated, so this is 3/4 inch, this is 1/2 inch, and this is 3/4 inch. So that's 3/4 is 1.5 plus half, that's 2 inches just to get over this little hump right here. I need a 1/2 inch to tuck into here, because that's going to give me extra room in case I make a mistake. So that's 2.5, and then I need a 1/2 inch on this side to go under this lip and house the 1/4 inch elastic, and that's going to give me a little bit of wiggle room there as well. So I'm at 3 inches, but I'm going to use 2 pieces of fabric sewn together, so I do need a seam allowance here as well, which is 1/4 inch. So I'm at 3 1/4 inches to make the flap piece fit from here on that. So I've decided on a height of 3.5 inches and a length of, sorry, not 3.5 inches, a height of 3 1/4 inches with a length of 15 inches around here of non-directional fabric, which is what I'm working with. I was working with directional fabric. Well, I'd have to make a decision on how to do that. So the other thing I've decided is, because it's going to go just around this half, there's going to be a gap here. So I need to be able to take this piece and connect them somehow. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to put string attached here and attached here to these 2 pieces, and I'm going to tie together and make a bow on each side. So I've decided that I need, it's going to be about a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to take and go with, just guessing, I decided to go with an 8 inch length. So a 1 inch by 8 inch piece of fabric for here, and also on the other side. So I need 4 pieces for that. And I need to do that first because I'm going to sew them in to this piece before I get going. So I need a 1/4 inch elastic, the 1/4 inch tie pieces, which is 4 1 inch by 8 inch pieces, and then I need the flap piece here. So I'm going to go get to constructing all of that and see how it goes. So I have these little pieces here. I've got 4 of them, and all I've done is I've taken the 1 inch piece, folded it in half, opened it back up, folded the raw edges into the center, pressing each time. And then once I had that pressed, I folded it in half again to make this teeny, teeny, tiny little piece. It's a 1/4 inch wide. So before I go and sew down each end, I do want one end to be closed because it's going to be hanging out so that I can tie it. And honestly, I'm looking at it, I think 8 inches is going to be too short, but I'm going with 8 inches because I've already got it cut. And so here it is closed. I'm going to take it and open it up and then fold it back the opposite way so my raw edges are sticking up like that. And then I'm going to stitch across here before I fold it back the opposite way. And when I do that, my raw ends here will be sewn and captured inside. And again, only one end, not both ends. So just this one end, because this end here will be in a seam, so I don't need to do that. I just need to do one side. So I'm going to go stitch those up. Okay, it's done. Let's see. So on the flaps, to cut it out, I went with just 3 inches instead of the 3¼ inches I measured, and that was just because I had a 6-inch long piece of fabric or high piece of fabric, and I wanted to use that, cut it in half. But I'm finding that it's actually too short here, so I opted, I think, I changed my measurements on my sheet to 3 3/4, and then I went ahead and just went to 4 because it's just easier and better to have that extra length. And this one fits, but it's not quite the way I wanted it on there. And also, it seems like the 15-inch cut that I did was a little bit too tight, but it's actually worked out okay. I can still move my handles here. So the way I put this piece on to this piece was I found the center of the flap and the center here of the side piece, and I lined those up. I made sure to line up my seams here in the body, and then I just pinned it in place. I tried using 2-sided tape, and pinning was actually working a lot better than that. So I went ahead and went with pins, and then I did the same on the other side. Now one side I did put elastic in, and the other side I did not because it felt like the elastic really wasn't doing any good. And so I think you could go either way. I went with really a loose elastic and no elastic at all, and kind of worked out the same. So, but my 8 inches was long enough on my ties, and so that worked out just great. I didn't want them to be too long, and so there it is. So I've changed my notes in case I ever want to make another one of these basket covers for this particular basket. And I'm going to get those typed in the computers and I'll be done. But here it is. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time. And thanks for watching. Oh, and check. And it's reversible.